Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats. I'm giving my simul, one of my simuls at chess.com. Um, let's kind of go through some of these games here. I'm playing this King's Indian Attack opening. The first up to 11 moves are pretty much set in stone. Here you have to probably seen all these already. And now here he's declaring his intention that he wants to play f5. Okay, and maybe play f4. So sometimes what I do is I play rook fe1, and the purpose behind that is to clear f1 for first the knight on d2, and then for the bishop on g2. So I think what I'm going to do instead is play knight c4 directly here, try to get the knight to e3, and keep the rook on f1 just a little bit longer. Now let's see. This is just my first instinct. So knight c4, f5. I may take that pawn to open up my bishop's diagonal, and then drop the knight back to e3. So just kind of winging it here on these systems. There's only 3 games going right at the moment. Okay, now here I'm still in the book. Okay, supposedly in the book. Here I deviate a little bit. I'm trying a new system here. Since the white king bishop is such a bad piece here, I've baited my opponents into playing d4 to open up the diagonal. Now we just go ahead and plunk a knight on c4, and now the light squared bishop has a nice long diagonal. And here he's played e4. I'm not sure if that's accurate. So where do I put the knight? e1, d2, e5. e5 just doesn't seem right. Taking the ghost of a pawn. He's given me the f4 square for my bishop, but I can lose that if I eventually play f4 to g5. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that bishop just yet. I'll probably sit on c1 for a while. I'm leaning towards knight d2. Knight d2 opens up the diagonal of my bishop and puts a threat on his pawn. Yeah, I like that better. e3. Well, I'm just going to drop a pawn, I think. Okay, knight d2. And I've got everybody thinking. Okay. There's only 3 games going. Okay, Cheeky's here. Let's get the invite sent. I set a morning time to allow the players from India to get a game, and so far I think I only have 2 of them. Okay. So what can I say? Somebody was saying it was too late in India for him, I think. I don't know. I doing the best I can. I could try to get up earlier if I have enough people here from that'll play at that time. One drawback with starting this early is I kind of missed the European market. It's now what, about 3 p.m. in Europe. Okay, now I bring the knight to e3. Okay, so I got my plan set there. Knight went to e3, and if f5, I'll just take it. Pawn takes, opening up the diagonal for my bishop. If he plays d5, not too worried about that. Okay. Okay. And I'm still in the book here. He hasn't kicked my bishop yet, so let's see. E4. Suppose he tries to occupy d3. Well, I've had that happen before. Okay, e4, d takes, He puts his queen on d3. I just take it and take his queen, put my rook on e1, and drive his rook out with bishop f1. Okay, so e4. Type her a little message. Okay, now castle. He did play f5, so now as I say, I activate the diagonal of my bishop. Okay, I've got 4 games going. 2 of them are with my students. I allow students in my Rat Pack group to play unlimited simuls against me. How generous I am. Well, I want them to play more. This is the perk of being my student. How do you become my student? Well, you take a lesson from me. Ideally more than one, because you'll learn a lot more. Okay. Now d3. Okay, so black now has a busted pawn structure on the king side. I can play knight h4. F4 is coming. My knight gets to move again. Let's see. I'll come back on this one. I just want to double check a couple of things. See, I played e4 here. Oh, he played e3. I didn't think he could do that. Well, it opens up the diagonal of my bishop. That pawn on... He's going to get the d4 square. When he gets the d4 square, you can put a knight there, but the knight's not attacking anything. I take, he takes. Now I gotta move my knight somewhere and go to e4 and go to f3. Well, I'll just take it and figure this out. Okay, now gotta look at this game. All right, f4 is coming, but I'm getting this key square. So I've got to figure out where I want to put my knight, or do I want to risk taking and really opening up the game? Maybe my knight e3 plan was not correct in this respect. Let's see. So I don't mind the pawn f4 idea. Queen e2 is interesting here. It sets up a discovery on the knight on the h5. And it clears c2 for my knight. My knight can go to c2, and then maybe I can prepare a d4 break. I kind of like the idea of queen c2 or queen e2 here. Okay, knight d5. He didn't take back the pawn. Okay, where's he planning to put the knight? c3. I can play e4 and keep my pawn, but then I buried the bishop that I've tried to open up so badly. Let's see. I can also take that knight and push e4. I'll have a lot of pawns on white squares and keep a pawn up and have a bishop. I mean, have a dark square bishop. It weakens my light squares. Let's see. I kind of like that idea from a positional sense. Now, I have c3 is weak, e3 is weak, but I can cover those. I don't know, it's kind of tricky here. Let's see. What if I just play e4 directly and keep the light squared bishop on the board, make it a bad piece? I'm used to playing with a bad piece. He throws the knight in on c3. I have to play my queen to e1, obviously. That knight's a pest. I like knights in close positions. I'm gonna take it. Okay. Now he played queen e8. That guards him. Now we have had something interesting come up in another game. The fact is that this e file is opening up, or could open up if I play d4. I had just had this. There was some differences in that position. I already had the rook on e1, and the queen was still on c2, and it ended up giving a check. Let's see. Let me just peek at another game here. I don't want her to get in time trouble. She got in time trouble last time. Of course, I don't want to get in time trouble too. Let's see. Maybe I'll just play a move and gauge things. Let's see. Bishop g5 is my move here, right? Okay, now we'll go back and answer. I got to answer a game here. Let's see. Boy, everyone's clicking on me. Let me check alerts in case somebody sent me a chat request I missed. I don't see one. Okay. It's the kind of position I like to take 10-15 minutes on and try to find a good move. See, I kind of like knight h4 in a way, but it doesn't really menace anything. It doesn't menace g6. He's got that covered. It opens up the diagonal for my bishop, but the bishop doesn't really have any squares, and then he just go play bishop f6 and want to chop it off. What if I put my king rook on e1 just like I do? Now f4 I answer knight c2. And I'm getting ready to break with d4 at the right moment. Okay, so now rook e8. Okay, so now I play rook e1. I just follow through with what I normally do. I've cleared f1 for both a knight and a bishop. Okay, he took with the queen. Now I gotta shut that diagonal down. e4. Okay, so I want a pawn, but it's not really a great pawn. Okay, just follow through with the system. Okay, queen h4. Getting ready to checkmate me. Or queen h5. Okay, so I've got to cover the light squares. I've given up my light square protection. Around the king. Little positional idea here. Okay, so his queen's after my king. Now, I got plenty of defenders. I've got a rook and a queen that can hop over in a hurry. Knight f3 seems to be the most accurate here. Okay. Open up the diagonal for my bishop. Maybe get ready for bishop f4. Or bishop d2, e1 kind of plan. Although the only open file is the F file for me. He has the E file. Let's see. Kind of look around. I've got everybody thinking. That's rare. When I get everybody thinking. Well, I'd like to play more of you. I'm clicking in the India time if I can't make I can't get an ideal time for everybody. I want to try to get as many to play as I can because I have a lot of people on the list. I was hoping to get a lot of people on Saturday, and I think I only had 5 games going. F5, okay. You're trying to open up lines. Now, do I want to take it or push by? Kind of like the idea of pushing by, just to limit your bishop. I don't want to activate your pieces. That takes... Yeah, I'm just going to do this on instinct. Pawn takes just seems risky. I end up giving myself a weakness on e2. A lot of times you can play these things on instinct. E5, if he wins the pawn back, he wins the pawn back. Right now I'm just going to wave it at him. I'm going to stick it there and let it be in the way of his light squared bishop. Although I just did give him d5, but I can't have everything. His bishop can go to d5 now. But I think I can cover the key squares. Okay, so c3. Okay, so rook a d8. Now, how to continue? Well, I can always break with e3. That might give him the d4 square. Let's see, e3, what if he takes? How do I want to take back with the knight or the bishop? Well, the bishop isn't developed. Take back with the bishop, right? Now, I don't know. Maybe it's early to break with e3. Maybe if I put the bishop on d2, that way I can chop the knight on b4 if I absolutely have to. Just keep this position closed. Then transfer my queen to e1 and f2. Yeah, I'm just going to slow play this. Okay, so he's got his battery on the F file. Now, is this a position I can play d4? d4, pawn takes, knight takes, d4, e4. Do I care if he grabs this pawn on a2? Probably not. Let's see. D4, E4. That takes the sting out of F4. Oh, he could still play it. D4, E4, knight D2, F4. My knight needs a home. Always go back to C2. Oh, wait a minute. D4, E4, knight F2. Or knight C, wait, this is not right. D4, E4, knight F2, F4. He's planning F3. Let's see. One thing I don't like about D4 is it activates his dark squared bishop, although it doesn't have too much scope, just like my light squared bishop didn't. Let's see. Decisions. Not sure what I want to do here. I'm going to come back to this one. See if I have any moves anywhere else. Let me look at the time. Okay, he's too good. He's taking his time. He's taking a lot of time. He's consumed 25 minutes on his clock. Queen G6. He's going kind of quick. Now what's he threatening with Queen G6? F4, Queen. Okay, so if I go by playing Queen E1, what if he plays F4? That opens up his bishop. I slide my king to the corner. Yeah, he's playing for F4, and there's not much I can do about it. Play King H1 right away, but then he pins the knight with Bishop D5. And I'll just go through with my plan here: Queen E1, get some help over here on the king side. Okay, now back to this game. D4, E4, knight D2, F4. Well, he can take back with the knight though. I almost need to move my knight first. Knight D2, knight C2. Of course, knight D2 is possible. Knight D2, F4. I could play knight G4. It's guarded by the queen. I don't know. Instinct tells me to play knight D2 here. Let's see, knight D2. If he plays F4, where do I put my knight? Knight to G4. Now does it get trapped if he plays Queen D7? No, I have H3. And he's given me the E4 square, at least for a moment. I don't know. He's taking his time. I'm taking my time. He's taking his time. Okay, he played H6. Let's get this off. Okay. Wait, something went. Something's wrong here. Is this? No, this is the right game. I didn't play anything yet. Okay. God, I was getting weird flashbacks of something that happened when my queen went on pre. This just didn't look like the position I was analyzing. Okay, I'll come back to this one. Okay, what's he doing here? He did play f4. Okay, so slide the king in the corner. If he gets a pin, he gets a pin. I can't do anything about it. But I got f3's well defended. And let's see, he took with the bishop. Now, next step is to play for d5 and f5. So knight f1. If he trades on e4, puts his queen on d3, I take it, put my knight on e3. I can play bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, rook d2. You can get on the 7th rank. Is that true? Let's see, knight f1, pawn takes, queen d3, queen takes, knight e3 attacks his bishop. Bishop takes f3, rook d2. I put my rook on e2. He doubles rooks. I slide my rook on a1 behind it. And we have an even game, but that's what we always get. Okay, let's... gotta go through with the system here. Okay, knight f1. Now here I hadn't made up my mind yet. Let me just peek at the other games. I'm going to spend some time on this one. Okay, do I mind a queen trade here? Probably not. Okay, let's see. Somebody else moved? Who moved? She did. Okay. Queen h5 there. Queen takes. Now I play e4. Okay, let's see. I can threaten mate in 1 in this position. Rook g1. Although he would certainly see it. Rook g1, followed by rook af1. Get my pieces over. Can he do anything with his rook? Rook to f5, rook to g5. Nope, rook, nope. Let's play rook g1. It threatens a mate in 1 and invites him to play g5, which cuts down the diagonal of his dark squared bishop. Okay, we'll play that. Now it's my move here. I've got to do some thinking. Okay, because like I say, I can't. It's the kind of game that he's trying to attack on the king side, which is fine. Let's see. Okay, I have candidate moves: knight c2, knight d2, d4. I have all kinds of interesting candidate moves. But not quite sure which one. Let's see. Not quite sure. Let's see. I'm not saying much here because I'm kind of blanking out here. My candidate moves: knight c2, knight d2, d4. Um, H3, well, H3 was used in combination with some of these other ideas uh, where it supported a knight that went to G4. And the other question I got to put in the back of my memory bank, do I care if he grabs the pawn on A2? I mean, I can always play B3 and await developments. I don't have any weakness in my position, except you could argue maybe A2 is weak simply because he's threatening to capture it. But I can always play C4 and make life difficult for that bishop to get back in the game. I don't think he's really threatening that. And sometimes, this is interesting thing about chess, at least when you're learning the game and trying to get the basic strategy so you can break a 1600 barrier. You see that pawn, and you're so freaked out about losing that pawn on A2 that you stop and spend a move with A3 just to save it. Well, I don't think it's a pawn that Black really wants to take because it puts his bishop out of play, and plus, like I say, I can play C4. A normal thing is to try to play B3 and trap it, but I can't in this position because he's crawling all over B3 with both his bishops and his queen, and I don't have any other support, even if my queen was on C2, like it often is in this type of position. So, but if he takes on A2, I could play C4, and his bishop goes out of play. I could break with D5 maybe, but then I'm getting him into something a little different than he's normally into. So if I play D4, he goes E4. I was looking at that. Now my knight goes to D2, but now he gets F4 in, and that's the problem because he's now threatening F3. Although wait, I have a pin. I can move my knight to C2. Then when he plays F3, I can take it because I have a pin on the E file. However, it might not be that simple. What if he just reinforces his position with D5? Yeah, let's see. Now my other move was knight C2 directly. Now when he plays F4, can I break with D4 there? Very complex. I'm not sure. I'm just looking for a nice, safe move that improves my position. Knight D2, F4. Where do I put my knight? Oh, yeah, I was saying knight G4. Well, I can also put it back on C4. Knight G4. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. Oh wait, he's going to remove the defender on F2, so pawn takes G3, pawn takes G3. Yeah, I can't do it. Can't go to G4. He's going to take on G4 and then get a queen takes F2 check in. Ugh, I get forked. So I go back to C4. What if he plays B5? Oh wait, D6 is hanging. So, with all that in mind, the thing I like about knight D2 is it opens up the E4 square once he plays F4, and I need some squares here, and I've got the main one covered, F2. Okay, he did play G5. Now, let's see. Looks like the battle's taking place on the king side. So I can play moves like, I can play, no, I can't play H5 here. I'm not threatening anything because I'm pinned. The battle's on the king side, so rook AF1 looks natural here. He's playing too quick. Look at this. 22 moves. He's had 5 minutes come off his clock. He's gained 11 minutes, 15 minutes to 16 minutes for 22 moves. Okay, well, you may run me out of time and beat me, but why are you going so quick? Okay, well, I'll play rook AF1. That just looks like the natural move. And I'm prepared to answer knight b4 with bishop takes b4. Then I bring the bishop back to... Well, I don't really want to put the bishop on e1. Okay, what if I play rook f1, he plays bishop h3, then I have bishop rook f2. I don't know, it just seems natural to get my pieces over to the king side. What happened? Somebody lost connection? I don't know what that means. I hear a little tinkle. Somebody offered to draw. No, I don't want to draw. That's what the tinkle meant. Oh. Okay, now I went to knight f1, and it's his move. And knight e, queen e2. Oh, wait, knight d2. Okay. So f4 is coming, then I'll just put a knight back on c4. So maybe I lost some time with that maneuver. But then I'm attacking d6. For what it's worth. Unless that knight gets overextended down there. You know, I'm looking at f4 knight, ec4, b5, knight takes d6. I'm on his queen. Is my knight overextended? Queen d7, how's my knight get out? Oh wait, he has e4, that's right. Okay, e4 was cleared. Okay, so somebody moves somewhere. Let me think about this one a little while longer. Against a Tish. I'm pretty sure he's going to play f4 here. I'm just almost certain of it. Okay, so he offered a queen trade. Now, do I want to trade the queens? He didn't want to trade queens earlier. Now he does. Amazing. Okay. If I trade, he gets his queen into... let's see. Gets his bishop into h3. Is that a problem? Oh, well, that's a problem. Let's see. Queen takes. Bishop takes. He's on my rook. Now, if I put the rook on f2, I think I might run into a pin with g4, although he's pinned. My rooks get a little awkward there. I'm going to have to find a new square for the rook. But his bishop isn't all that active on g1. I can put it back on e1 and try to play e3. Yeah. I think I need to try to get e3 in at some point. This takes away his mating chances. Okay, he took, or she took. So I need to take back. Well, I could take with the knight here. That's not normally what I do. I don't care about winning back the dark squared bishop. I'll just follow the system and take here. Okay, I got everybody thinking. Okay, he took. Now I think the natural move is to put the... Wait a minute, what if he plays... Oh, he's got a pin. I'm saying rook e1. What if he plays g4 here? Well, he does hang his pawn on h6, and that pawn on g4 is pinned. And I can also play rook g3 and knight g1. Okay, rook e1 trying for e3. Okay, e6. He didn't play that. Okay, now do I want to take the idea of him coming to d3 away with rook ad1? Yeah, let's do that. Rook ad1, just kind of following nature here. Now if he takes, I take back with my pawn and I have a tempo on the queen. Okay, that's the plan there. And I got everybody thinking. Okay, let's do a quick review. Okay, well, he moved d5. Okay, that weakens e5. Takes away c4 from my knight. Takes away e4. What square I was trying to occupy. Wow. I didn't even think of that move. I'm not saying it's a bad move or a good move. I'm just saying I didn't consider that move that I recall. Let's see. Need some candidate moves here. I can attack his knight with bishop f3. I did clear the f3 square. I can what's it going to do? If I play bishop f3, he has to put his knight back on f6. Did I get any progress there? That kind of takes the sting out of f4. I can move my knight to g2 and attack e5. What happens if he plays e4 then? My bishop is trapped. Or is it? No, I have knight f4. He takes my bishop. I take his bishop on e6. Now that pin is useful. Okay, I'm thinking that bishop f3 is a good move here. It takes some of the sting out of him trying to play f4 because it makes him block up the f file. And the pressure I have on the e file kind of counterbalances it. So sometimes I can play these things on instinct. Now, e3 I think is instinct. Oh wait, no, I can't play e3. It hangs my knight. Okay, so wow, I missed these one movers. Wow, let's see. I play rook g3 to prepare e3. Well, e3 can come up later. It doesn't have to come up now. One thing I mentioned is he's got the with the queens off, he's probably not going to checkmate me. So let's see. Let me think. You attack my rook with bishop when we traded queens. Now I can't play e3. So what do I want to play here? Rook g3. Yeah, let's talk about that move earlier. The idea is to chase the bishop out with maybe knight g1 if he anchors it in. It's about the only thing I have here, really. That's one of the problems with losing the light squares here. Okay, rook g3 it is. See, I can't really improve the position of my bishop. or my knights, and I just put my rook on e1, and it doesn't have it a better square. Okay, so there's that move, d4. That gives me c4. What if I... Not sure here. Let's see. Normally I don't take, and I probably won't here. Can't put the knight back on d2. This might be one of those positions where I can actually take, even if I get a backward pawn. I'm going to experiment with that. I'm just going to do this on instinct. Although knight v4 might be a problem. Pawn takes, knight v4 attacks my queen. And the queen goes to b1. No, the queen, I don't put the queen on b1, I put it on d2. Attack the knight. Yeah, I'm going to try it. Just going to experiment. That's the anchor of my position, that pawn on the c3. But I need to experiment a little bit. Okay, now what was I saying here? Knight g2. If he traps my bishop, I have knight f4. And I'm threatening knight f4 anyways because of a pin. Okay. Rook e8. Game is even. I'm the one in time trouble here. Okay, I can't play... knight c4. So I'm going to clear f1 for the rook. Although, no, I can do this. That bishop on d6 might find its way to c5 at some point, but I'm just going to slow play this. Keep the game even. Okay, now I take. Now if he takes with the queen, see, one nice thing is, I have a backward pawn on the open file, but it's like one of those Sicilian positions, Boleslavsky, when black accepts that formation. Now am I threatening e3 here? Yeah, black takes a backward pawn on the open file many times, and survives. So I want to play e3. Although, what if I just play... Well, I want to play something like king g2 too. King g2 takes h3 away, but then where's my rook go next? Can I play h4? What's he do? g4? No, he goes g4. And he's ready to play h5 next. Dang it. Okay, so let's see. What about h3? h3 just takes g4 away, plays it positional. And let's see, how can I... It clears h2 for my knight. But then I can get I probably redeploy the rooks or something. I see I don't have any play with my knights here. I suppose he can go after this pawn on e5 if he wants it. So let's just play h3 here and try to slowly improve my position. Okay, took with the queen. Now, if I play knight e3, bishop a2, b3. Okay, so we're going on instinct here. Knight e3. Okay. Did I just get a free pawn here? Queen takes e5. Not sure. Hmm. Hmm. Of course, let's see, my knight just came from e3. Put him on h4, I suppose. That'll clear a square for the bishop. I don't want to do that. Let's see. Hmm. Eh. Queen takes e5. It sure looks tempting. Where's his knight go? Got discoveries on g4, e4, knight e4. Attacks my queen and my knight. Where's my queen go? f4. Knight g4. I like taking it because it takes the sting out of a lot of things he's trying to do. And the question is, can I survive this? It reduces the mobility of his f4 move. Okay, queen takes. He can play knight g4, or knight e4. In either case, my queen goes to f4, and I've got everything covered. Okay, I'll bite. I'm playing on instinct here. I don't want to get in time trouble. Okay, now he's trying to double up rooks. King h2 or king g2 here? That is the question. That is the proverbial question. Uh, hmm. Didn't he offer me a draw earlier? Well, draw's not that bad, I suppose. I'm a pawn ahead, but darn, I can't do anything. What do I want to do here? I like king h2 better than king g2, although g2 is closer to the center. g2 just seems to maybe run into a pin with bishop d5. King h2 it is. King h2 it is. Okay, do I have everybody's clock ticking? I do believe I do. Okay, 76 minutes there, 83 minutes here. See, one reason I don't really want to draw is he's moving quickly. Oh, he's definitely got an even... Well, I'm a pawn up. Yeah, he sacked a pawn for this. Let's see, let me verify that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns to 6. On general principle, I don't want to take a draw pawn up. Now here I gave the d4 square, but the idea was to get things placed. Okay, what's he play? King h7. Well, What's he trying to do here? It seems like an odd move. Can I play e3 now? I've got well, weakens f3, goes and pins it again and attacks it, but I can play e4. What if I play e4? e4. Well, there's a move. I've been trying to play e3. Maybe the move is e4. If he takes en passant, everything works out like I want. I get a little activity for my pieces. And if he doesn't take en passant, I've taken away a couple squares from him. Yeah. e4. Okay, now he can attack my knight with doubling rooks, but let's see. If he attacks my knight doubling rooks, wait. I can always come back and guard the knight with the king. I didn't put him on g2 originally, but I've broken the pin. Yeah, I like e4 here. Okay. Rather than e3. e4 is more direct. He doesn't have. If I play e3, he doesn't have to take my pawn en passant. Now, I give him a chance to do something wrong with any luck. Okay. I got everybody's clock ticking. I have 57 minutes there. I have 63 here. I have 41 minutes here. Or he has 41 minutes. Okay, so he's preparing a discovery. I have a feeling I've just blown this game. I don't know. For some reason, it's like he took a while playing rook f or ae8, and I may have grabbed that pawn a little prematurely. I don't know, but I like the positional idea. I take away some of his possible thrusts. Okay, so he's played queen back to c2. Now what I'd like to do ideally is try to get d4 in, but I can't. So I got to get some activity for my pieces. Now my knight controls d5 and f5, but it's not really doing me a whole lot of good there. What if I were to play knight c4 here? Knight c4 invites him to play b5, making weaknesses. Knight c4 gives him the diagonal h6 to c1. My knight's controlling squares. It's like what we call a Mexican standoff. I'm not going to f5, but I'm keeping him out of there. I'm not going to d5, but I'm keeping him out of there. Knight c4 keeps pressure on e5, so he can't play bishop g5. And invites him to take on c4, which would lead to a very, very even game. But that's what this opening does. It leads to an even game. Okay, he doubled rooks. Now I have to cover the knight. King g2 is... Well, I could step into a pin with rook f1. I just don't like stepping into pins if I can avoid them. Can he deflect with bishop takes h3? I don't think so. My rook covers it. What if he plays g4? Well, cross that bridge when he comes to it. h5, he doesn't have time for it. Okay, who's sending me a chat request? J of DKH, is he on the list? Oh, he is an hour late. Let's see if he's on the list. No, he's not on the list. Oh, he canceled the request. Okay, accept. I'll accept anyway. Okay, he did take that thing. I was never too worried about that. Now I'm going to get a half-open B file. Hooray. Okay. That should put a rook on d8, so I'll just do the same here. And put my rook on d1. Okay, now he's played knight e5. What's he trying to do here? Oh, he took the knight. He took. He didn't take a knight. He took a pawn. Oh, very clever. Now, if knight takes e5, he plays rook f2 check. And I gotta move my king. Now he takes my bishop. And I cover the 7th rank with g2. I should be okay on that. I think I have to take, because if I move my knight, he just checks on f2 anyway, so I might as well get a knight with it. Knight from it. Okay, so he's going to get a check. Win the bishop back. Over he plays bishop d6. Oh, he didn't, but what if he played bishop d6? Oh, my knight just takes his rook on f7. Okay, so king needs to come back to g1. What if he plays bishop d6 here? Let's see. Oh, I just offer him a rook trade at some point. Rook g2 or rook. Okay, he took. Now he's threatening to double rooks on the 7th, so I have to play this move. Okay, what have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He got his pawn back. But my pawns are on the opposite color of his bishop, so this is a good time to have a knight. His bishop has no targets. Okay. Knight g4. Okay, I have to play. I can play queen d2. Queen f4 might lead to bishop e5. But queen d2 or queen e2, you can discover with his bishop has to back up. And my queen has to back up. I think queen e2 is the better choice here. If he tries f5 or f4, I can play knight takes. Now his bishop has discovery on f4, but my queen has f1 to run to. So think queen e2 here rather than queen f4. See, queen f4 runs into bishop e5. And now my queen gets sent over to the queen side, right? Now queen e2 is the move here. What if he plays queen h5 now? Well, if I have to, I can take his knight on g4. Okay. Now he attacked my knight. Wait, something's wrong here. Oh no, no, he just won his pawn back. That's all. I was thinking something was wrong. So I control the light squares here. He doesn't. He controls the dark squares. Where do I want to put my knight? Not really sure where I want to put my knight. F3 and save it for a rainy day. G4, where's it go next? He plays H5, knight F2, where's it go next? Knight D7, he attacks with his rook, where's it go next? Let me think about this one for a while here. Okay, I have a pass pawn in the center. He has an outside pawn majority. All my pawns are on the color of my opposite color of his bishop, so his bishop has no targets. But as a result, his bishop has plenty of mobility. Okay. Uh, my knight will control the light squares every other turn. Ideally what I want to do here is try to trade rooks and get my king position better, because if I can do that, as long as he can't activate his outside pawn majority, my king and knight can work on his bishop and maybe tie that bishop down. The other way is to try to block his rook out of the game and try to find a way to activate my rook. This is an idea of trying to keep it on the board. And if I can provoke him into advancing his kingside pawn majority and convert it to a pass pawn, I might be able to reach an ending where I can win that pawn and then have an extra pawn on the rest of the board. Although fewer pawns becomes closer to a draw, white has all the fun. Anyway, what was I gonna? So I think the logical move is knight f3 here. Just keep him from penetrating the position. He can't. His only strategy would be to try to advance his kingside pawns, and if I do that, that might lead into what I'm trying to get. Get him to get a pass pawn and then try to pile up and win it. Knight f just keeps his rook out of the game. Now my rook doesn't really have a lot of activity. I can try to put it on b1 and see if I can somehow pry something open on that side of the board, but just not sure. All the other games seem a little bit even, although I did bag a pawn in one game, but he's getting a little play for it. But I think I'm okay. I wish I had more games going. 4 is not that many. Makes it a little easier for me, but I can't make the players come when I ask. They sign up, they want to play me, and all I can do is offer as many simuls as I can. I can do 2 or 3 a week for now, and pretty soon that'll open up, and I'll try to do 4 or 5 a week, because I really want to clean this list up. I have over 130 names, and only had 3 sign up since the last one, and I'm only playing 4, but 2 of them are my students, so only 2 people are coming on the list. The list is growing. My experience is everybody who's been online at start time has gotten a game. You know, when they come well over an hour late, I'm not going to take you, because then I'll extend the length of the simul. So, what's weak in my position? A4, but how does he attack it? Rook c8, rook c6, rook a6. Now I think knight f3 is the correct move here. Okay, bishop h3. This helps me in a way, because I'm going to get a good knight against a bad bishop. Now I'm getting closer to getting d4 in. So let's not threaten to mate me. Let's just go ahead and take that guy. Okay, bishop takes, queen takes, knight e3. Attack c7. He protects it. And then I play knight f5 maybe. He's not going to checkmate me. He can't get a rook to h5. I'll just take it and figure it out. Okay. Now, bishop f1. The idea of getting a knight to c4. We're just doing slow, careful maneuvering here. She can pin with bishop g4. But then I can get bishop c4 in. Okay, now I put the knight back on, or do I put it on a5? Knight a5 is interesting. b6, knight c6. And then I'm attacking this rook, send it back to a8. Yeah, knight a5 here. This smells right. Okay, knight a5. Okay, bishop c7. Now, as I say, I'm trying to provoke him to advance his pawns. I also want to fix more of his pawns on dark squares, so let's go attack that pawn and try to limit his bishop. Keep it from maybe coming into play later on the a5 e1 diagonal. Okay. Have you got everybody thinking? Okay, as I said, he can only go backwards with the discovery. Now, which way do I want to go back? To f1 or to d1? Let's go to d1. I no longer protect d3, but he's not attacking d3. This way, in case he gets frisky with f4, I take his knight. He takes on g3. I take on g3, checks, and I think he's out of checks. Okay, queen d1. Although queen f1 would let me take back on e1 with a rook. But that's okay. I've played it. Okay, so knight a5. Yeah, see, I was talking about that. Well, that's okay. He can still play f4, but I'm now guarding f2. Actually, no, he can't play f4. I'll take it with my knight. What am I thinking of? Okay, brought his queen back to c8. So he didn't make a weakness. Gotta get him to make a weakness. How do I do that? Queen b3. Okay, I'm kind of playing on instinct here. Now he's on my bishop. Okay. And he's on d3. So bishop e2. And I want to play knight f4 as soon as I can, but he may not let me. Okay. I got everybody thinking again. Okay, rook e8. Knight f4, knight f3 check I can take with my bishop. So, knight f4, knight g3. Maybe I'll just play queen f1 on general principles here. Well, let's see. Queen f1. He should play knight g3. Or knight g6, rather, to stop me from knight f4. If I play knight f4 directly, he plays knight g6, and I'm stepping into a pin. I trade. He trades with his queen, but I'm a pawn ahead. Queen f1, knight g6. Now he's stopping me from playing knight f4. I want to trade knights here. Knight f4 is my best move, and knight f3 check doesn't work for him. Okay, so knight f4. Now he's putting his rook there. Okay, do I just take a pawn? Knight takes b7. What's he do on knight takes b7? Bishop e7 to stop knight c5. I'll bring the knight back to a5. He plays rook b4, and I put my queen on c3. So, beg to pawn, I think. Okay, a6, that's a good move. Although it weakens b6 a little bit. A lot of times in structures like this, I like to try to get a knight to c5, but I don't have enough control over that square. I don't have a dark squared bishop. So, knight c4. Bishop c5. Knight e3. Knight c4. Bishop g4. Bishop back to g2. Followed by knight e3. So, knight c4 is the move. Okay, bishop e7 is expected. Now on knight a5, I run into bishop b4, so I might have to play a3 first. And of course on a3, did I mess this one up? Let's see, a3 I run into a pin. No, I don't. I have knight b3. Or knight a5. Queen b8, knight a5. The knight's guarding the queen. Okay, so a3 with the idea of knight a5. Okay, I didn't mess this one up. Okay, what's happening here? He's good. He's taking his time now. Okay. Okay, so she's got me on the clock on this one. Okay, what's happening here? I think his best move is knight g6. I trade knights and break the pin. So only 5 games, or I mean only 4 games. Here my plan is to play knight a5 as quickly as I can. Get that knight out of there. Okay, she took. Now we have an opposite color bishop situation. She needs to play bishop c5 and get that bishop active. Now I want to get a knight into f5 or d5. If I play knight h4, she can't play g6 to stop it because knight takes g6. Haha. Taking advantage of the pin and the weakness on g6 caused by h6. Okay. Now, I think you made a mistake here, or did you? Bishop h6. I'm sorry, bishop h5, knight f3 check. Knight takes f3. Rook takes e1 check. Rook takes e1. I lose a queen for a rook and a piece. I already have a pawn. I have a tempo on his queen. Where does his queen go? It only has f6. Bishop h5, knight f3 check, knight takes, rook takes, queen check, rook takes. His queen goes to, can always go to f8 or f6. His bishops are controlling a lot of turf. I think just break the pin once and for all. Queen f1. That threatens bishop h5. And stops knight g6. Okay, so queen f1. Now he's offering a queen trade. As long as my knight gets out, I'm okay. Queen takes. Knight b8, repositioning things. Okay, how do I get a knight to d5 or f5? By way of e3. How do I get to e3? Knight d2, knight f1, knight e3. If I play knight h5, h4 directly, she can't play g6 because of knight takes g6. But she can also just let that knight hop into f5. What if I double rooks here? Rook d2, bishop c5 is what she needs to play. Or should I play b4 to stop that? b4 keeps her bishop kind of bad. Take away squares from pieces. I was saying she should play bishop c5. I think rook d2 kind of lends to equality. Bishop c5, I double rook. She swaps. Plants another rook on d8. Okay. So b4 to take squares. Take c5 from you. Okay. Now, black is threatening rook b8, so knight a5. And if rook d8, I have knight c6. I think I have the center control. Knight a5. Okay, knight g4. Stopping. Bishop h5. What if I play bishop f3 here? See, bishop f3 threatens d5. Kind of forces bishop c6. And I've got him tied down. H3, don't really want to do that. Oh, maybe I do. Let's see. Where does this bishop belong? I hate these mouse slips. I'll set it on the wrong square. Excuse me. H3. Attacks his knight. It goes back to f6. I'm not attacking h5. So, bishop f3. Let's improve the position of that bishop. Okay, bishop f3. Now c6. Okay, that took d5 away. Knight h5, g6 is a mistake because of knight takes g6. Just let it in. Let it in and it's done. Okay, let's see. I don't see a follow-up. Yeah, it's a problem with this opening just so equal. I'm just going to, well, actually, play a little preventative maintenance here. Well, no, I want to double. I was thinking of a3. I'll double. Okay, keep it safe. Okay, so now c5. I can win a pawn again. Knight c6 forces the rook to move, and I can take on e5. Knight c6. Rook backs up. Knight takes e5. I was talking about winning that pawn earlier. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns. He has 6. Knight c6. Okay, as expected, bishop c6. Now, rook e1. Let's get my rook into play. It's the only not developed piece. Okay, rook e1. Bishop c7. We'll just swap some rooks off here. Okay, rook d6. Now I grab this pawn, and if bishop f6, I play knight c4. Guarding b2 and attacking d6. So rook comes up to d4. What do I play here? f4, rook d8, e5, bishop e7. Gives him a very bad bishop. Okay, what's weak in this position? Pawns on e6 and c5 and a7. He's got 3 weak queenside pawns. If I don't advance my pawns, I can play king e2 or king f1 with the idea of e2. He doubles the rooks, and it ties my rook down for a moment. I'm not quite sure I want to move my pawns yet. Although, you know, my knight's just dominating on c4. I think it's the right thing to do. Okay. Now he played bishop there on my knight, threatening to double things. Let's see. Knight g2. The idea of knight h4 maybe? Or try to simplify with knight e3 at some point. Yeah, that looks safe and sound. d3 is covered. He's not attacking it. He could maybe attack it with bishop b5, but that puts d5 a little weaker, and he's not on it enough. Okay, knight g2, king f8. I'm going to batten down the hatches with a3. Well, a3 puts it on the color of her bishop. How about just queen d1? Keep the knight from moving. Rook d8. And trade off some things. And she drops on e5. Okay, played rook b8. Now, what if I play rook c5 here? I mean, not rook c5, rook b5. That takes a5 away from his bishop. Okay, we'll play that. Rook d8 is expected. One thing, the pawns are going on the color of his bishop, but they're taking squares away. Now, does he have g5 at some point? He might. He's threatening to play rook takes d3. If I play rook e3, his rook takes c4. Somehow I missed that. Okay, I'm 2 pawns up. I can give one back, take some of the pressure off. Although I'm not sure if it really takes pressure off. Well, he's going to get a pawn back. Wasn't careful here. Rook e4 doesn't even work. He takes the rook, and I run into a pin. King f2, rook takes. Let's see. King f2, rook takes d3, rook takes d3. King e2 attacks his rook. He backs up and go on the d file. I have the luxury of being a pawn ahead here, so king f2 it is. I mean, 2 pawns ahead. I can go up a pawn, be up a pawn. And, okay, now I've got him to play b6 and shut his bishop in. Now, what can I do with the knight? I'd like to get the knight to d5. If I get that knight to d5, I'm doing really good. What's the path? By way of f6 or e7. He gets to e7 by way of f5. He gets to f5 by way of g3, and g3 takes it off. So he doesn't get there by way of g3. He can get there by way of f6. Knight to d2. Wait, he's got to get to g4. But yeah, he's going to stop that. I can't get that knight activated yet. Let's see. Put the knight on b3 and press for a5. Okay, I've accomplished the mission. The F file is open. I can't do anywhere on the B file. I'll just bring the rook back. Just follow general principles here. Okay. Now he's threatening mate. Should I worry? There's a tickle. Tick, tick, tick. I think somebody's offering me a draw. Okay, let's see what I want to do here. If I take on g4, my light squares are weaker. I can play knight h4. Play h4. That weakens my king position a little bit. My love for her. Bishop takes g4. Pawn takes g4. Knight e3. I'll come back to this. What, I have 55 minutes? Okay, he took. Now I play king e2. Okay. That's still my move there. I don't want to take a draw. I want to play. Okay, king, rook f1. Get on the f file, see what happens. Bishop takes, pawn takes. I can play f3 for some exchanges. Yeah, I think this is the way to do it. Okay, so he attacked my knight. Now I guard the knight. Okay. Bishop b6, good move. I'll just bring my king up to g2. Unpin that pawn. Guard my knight. Okay. Now, where to put the knight? D2. If bishop f4, I'll put it on g1. Because if bishop f4, I can play knight h or e2. So knight g1. See what happens. Okay, I got everybody thinking. Now, if pawn takes, I'm going to play f3 and try to break the position open a little bit. Okay, g5. I knew that was coming. So here I play rook d1 and roll with it. Rook d1. Okay. Okay, I think you get a bad ending here. Let's see. Rook takes, pawn takes, and I play knight e3, attacking the pawn. You go to d4, and I get back on c4. Okay, king g2 or g7. So now we get the rook activated for what it's worth. Rook f5. Okay, now I play knight e3 on your pawn. Okay, took there. Now, how do I want to do this? F4 or F5 or F3 or F4? F3 could play D4. That just makes weaknesses in this game. I can get the knight in on E4. I can play C4. F3. Or do I want to do F4? Before he takes en passant. F4 gives me a pass pawn. So F4 might be more pawn takes, en passant, queen takes, knight takes. I'm on his knight, or his bishop. His bishop retreats. I trade rooks, and I play the ending of pawn up. Okay, try F4 here. Okay, now I go back to C4. Or do I want to go to F5? F5 attacks your bishop. And your pawn on H6 makes your bishop kind of bad. Let's put it there on F5. Okay, now, how do I want to trade rooks? Or do I want to give him the file? I can put my rook on D5 and come back and play knight F3 and keep the rooks on. Rook takes F8, king takes F8, king F3, king E7, king F5, king G6. Wait, rook takes, king. Yeah, he gets the G6 and forces that in. I got my rook activated. I'm going to put it on D5 and then try to penetrate with the knight. Knight F3. I don't know where next. Rook D5. For what it's worth, I have an active rook. Okay, bishop F8. Now, do I let him take? Yeah, I let him take. On in G4. Okay, so king d3, get the king up to c4, where I can play b4, king d3. Okay, let's look at time. He has 42 minutes, I have 54. He has 33 minutes, I have 71. He has 66, he's starting to take his time now. I have 44. I have 54 here. She has 50. Okay, so there we have it. If he treats his bishop, I trade rooks, and I have a pass pawn. And a slightly drafty king, but I'll figure that out. Okay, bishop f4. Now, his bishop has no targets. So, I put the knight back on f3. Do I check? Rook d7. Okay, let's see. Knight f3 just on general principle. Okay. King f7. Okay. Gotta be careful. My knight doesn't have a retreat here. Other than d6. Pawn takes g5, pawn takes g5, h4. Gets me another pass pawn. I think this is the way to do it. Okay, pawn takes. Okay, king f6. Rook d7. Now h4. Trying to get some pass pawns to keep him occupied and tied down. Okay, you're attacking things. Dang, I missed something here. Or on my pawn at e5. Well, phooey. Played a little too quick here. Looks like I'm giving back a second pawn. Okay, what happened? The game ended? Oh, he gave up. Game abandoned. Ooh, sorry. Okay, well. I think I have the advantage here. I'll come back and look at this in a little bit. Okay, I hung my pawn on e5. Let's run through this game real quick. Let's see if nobody moves and upsets the apple cart and I can close it down. Let's see. Okay, followed symmetrical formation so far. Just going through with the system. Now he's playing for an f5 break, so I try to, well, I'm just going to allow it, I try to force him to take back with a pawn. And he's got weakness on g6, but doesn't really matter here. Transfer the queen to e2 to keep an eye on h4. Now I just pile up on the e file and d5 and attack his knight. He saves it. And I redeploy, and I'm actually trying to get knight f4 in He doesn't really trap my bishop because the play I have on his bishop, he guards it, but now I need to safeguard my critter, and he just gave up a pawn. And his discoveries are backward here in a moment. I put the queen back on d2 or e2 rather than f4 because he'd have bishop at e5. My queen would have to run all the way to the queen side. Probably should have played queen f1 here, but my queen ends up going to f1 here in a moment anyway, and I'm just basically up a pawn here, and f4 he abandoned the game. But I think what happens here is, well, if he moves his bishop, I'm going to trade rooks, and okay, for instance, bishop here. I'll come back. I'll look at the other games in a minute. Bishop g7. I trade rooks. I have a pass pawn, and my knights are looking kind of good here. If he takes en passant, let's say I'll try to cover both lines here if it'll let me. Pawn takes. I take with the queen, and he doesn't have to trade queens, but if he does, I take back with the knight. On his bishop, he preserves his bishop, but I have a pawn up and two knights versus a bishop. Would have been an interesting ending. And here I think I can play d4 and have the better game. Okay, close that one out. Thanks for playing. I have 3 games left. Carlos, you need to take my pawn on h4. If you do that, you hold your own. So I'll take your pawn. Okay. c5. a3. Just back it up. I've got the d5 square now for what it's worth, but my knight's not headed there. Okay, rook a8. Now, have I gotten somewhere? I think I have. I've got a rook on the 7th rank. So rather than trying to play a bishop versus knight ending, I'll try to play a knight ending. Or I'll try to play a rook ending. So what if I put my knight on... How does my knight get into the game? By way of g4. And I don't care if he takes it off. Okay, so let's see. Knight h2. If he plays bishop takes, I play with my king, and I have a rook on the 7th rank for what it's worth. I guess to g4, he's pressuring h3 or h6, and if he pushes h6, I can maybe get the knight into f5 and do something. Well, we'll try it out and see what happens. Okay, king f5. Now I'm going to push my pawn, and I think you missed that. Okay, g6. And now g7. And I take. Now, unless you trap my knight, I don't think you do, you start losing pawns. Okay, white 1, thanks for the game. Okay, let's run through this one. I completely missed his d4 move. Maybe it's a position when he played. Maybe it's a position where I need to play pawn takes on d5. Yeah, I didn't. I decided to take, and here I think this helped me because I get some play. Trying to create a weakness. b6, knight c6, rook a8. I don't have much really though. Now I attack that, and I grab the pawn. I have to watch the tricks. Threats of rook b4 and bishop b4 in a lot of cases. But I clearly misplayed this. Yes, I've won a second pawn. I shouldn't have to give 2 pawns back. But maybe I have to. I don't know. Uh, maybe I play b3. Maybe the right move is b3 and knight b2 to cover that pawn on d3. But here I discover that I'm going to have to give a pawn back, and I like get the rooks off. Whoops, it's his move. Okay. Now knight g4. He plays h5. No, I play knight g1 here, f1 here, with the idea of going to g3 and f5. h4. Yeah, knight f1. I'm trying to get the knight onto f5. Okay, back to this game. Finishing off knight e3. Push. Yeah, this was a little overambitious. I didn't really look ahead and see that my knight was getting in trouble. My knight doesn't have a retreat other than d6, and it could reach a position where it's a draw because he has a protected passed pawn. But I took, and he took. Now I played h4, and he played a good move here, and my knight doesn't have a move. Although, let's see. I could play knight d6, bishop takes d6, pawn takes d6. I have an outside passed pawn. Wait, knight d6, bishop takes, pawn takes. Pawn takes, pawn takes. He's to play a5. I think he holds a draw. But here, what he just simply needs to do is take on h4 and then take on e5. He didn't take on h4 and just forgot about that pawn running, and game over. Whoops. Some comments. Let's see. Go back to this. Okay, knight c6. Let me finish this game and I can close it off. Giving you information. Let's see. Carly and Carlos are talking here. He says, hey, messed up. I've been watching. I should have taken more time to think. What rook d4, move 21. What does she know? What do I know? Trying to double up. Yeah, that's what I figured. Let's see. And put pressure on the d pawn. Anyway, I'm still playing. I'm a bit tied up. Welcome to my club. I have no plan and my knight is useless. Yeah, your game is fine, Carly. I will see in a bit. Okay, let's see. Move 21, she's suggesting rook d4. What happened there? Move 21. He did play rook d4. And then double up. But anyway, thanks for this game, Carlos. I'll close it out. What do I have left? Okay, I have game with him. He's giving me a pawn. Well, I'm not going to let you have a pawn. Let's see. Knight g3. Bishop takes, or king takes. He can put his rook on f1. I take on a7. He can put his rook on c2. Or c1. I put my rook on a7, b7. He takes with check. I bring my king up. He attacks c3. I take on b6 with check, and I've got an outside pass pawn. How much time do I have here? 37 minutes. He's probably right to activate his rook, give up a pawn, and not be passive. The only question is, do I have enough going here to get into a rook and pawn inning that wins? I don't know. That is the good question, so to speak. Let's see. I'm not sure. Hmm. I have a free pawn on a7, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? Rook takes a7. Okay, knight g3. He might play rook f7, though. It doesn't have to play bishop takes g3 and penetrate with his rook. Let's see. Rook takes a7. I get the pawn. What's it going to do? Put his bishop on e3, threaten a check. Now knight takes e3 would be a big mistake because he'll run a queen on me. Knight g3. It has to be knight g3 because I've got to get the knight to f5. The pawn in a7 isn't going anywhere. If I get a chance to get the knight to f5, I've got a chance. If he takes it, he takes it. I've been prepared for that for a while. Okay, knight c6. What if I play rook d7 here? Rook d7 attacks the queen, attacks b7, attacks f7. Okay. So he can take my knight or not. If he doesn't, I'll put it on f5. Been trying to do get it into d5. It's getting closer, although f5 would be a nice square. So I'm down to 2 games. 1-2. One disconnected. Where's the queen go? My goodness. She should have played rook d8 and tried, or f6 maybe. I don't know. Kind of hard to say. I think she was okay here. 2 games left. Played rook f7. Okay, so now I can get the knight to f5, but what else do I have? Okay, rook takes f7. I got the knight versus bishop ending I've talked about for so long. Knight f5. King g6. Knight e7 check. Get the knight to d5. Hooray. But I don't think I can really make any progress. Uh, yeah, I think this one's petering into a draw. Yeah, I'll just get this. I want to get the simul over. Okay, let's see. Let me offer him a draw. He declined a draw. Huh, okay, fine. Uh, you're pinning my queen. Rook takes queen, rook takes queen. Rook takes pawn. Say pawn check. Oh, I didn't see the offer. Okay, offer a draw. Get that one over with. Draw there. Now I have one game left. Who took my queen? Take your pawn with check. I want the simul over. I got a lot to do today. King e8 is forced. I can play rook takes b7. I'm on the bishop. Her rook is active. I'll give you a draw. You played very well. You just made a little mistake. So I'll give you a draw. I don't care. The last two games with me have been great. Plus, you know, you're my girl, and I take care of my girl. Okay, let's do a quick run through. I probably definitely winning that, but I don't care. I just want the games over. Whoops, wrong one. That's just somebody I already played. Wrong one. Let's get to the right game window. Okay, this game was very interesting. Had positional advantage, but couldn't do anything with it. You know, the positional advantage being the color of the squares of the pawns, and as opposed to the minor pieces. So I win a pawn. I'm just trying to find a way to hang on to it. I didn't want to open up the position with e takes f5. Now I want to trade queens. He doesn't. Now he wants to trade queens. Okay, so I want to play e3, but I can never get it in. Didn't seem like. Now I found e4 of all things. And he doubled his rooks. He found a clever move, which I missed. He took that, then he took that. He gets his piece back. He gets his pawn back. But I have the better minor piece. But I just couldn't find a way to do it. I was trying to get the knight active, and it looked like I was finally making some progress here. But he found some good resources. He activates the rook. It's bad to take that knight. Take that pawn. I think he's going to get back in. And I just don't have enough here. Okay. he does threaten to make an outside pass pawn at some point. He can just blockade the position with king g6, and I can't get in. My knight can run around, but let's see, knight f5. Yeah, I could have played on it, but I just wanted the simul over. That's why I kind of didn't play this out and went for the draw in the other game. Got a lot to do today. I just can't break in. Bishop comes back. I get the knight twos. Well, let's see. Maybe then I can get to c6. Yeah, maybe I had some chances here. Doesn't really matter. I think this one was totally equal. Let's see. Following the book so far. That was a good move. Take off my knight. We're both left with kind of some crummy bishops, but you need to get your bishop activated. You need to get it to b6. And here I think just like rook d8 was the move, and try to trade off. So let's see, what was I saying? But I think just rook d8 holds a draw. Now she did get the bishop to the right diagonal. That might have been a mistake. You need to protect f6. You're giving me d5. You need to protect f6 and then put the rook on d8, and I think it's a very comfortable draw. Okay, so that concludes this simul. Let's see. I mean, I could have played on, but she's played very well. She had a basically drawn game last time and ran out of time. I don't know where her time went. But essentially, king e8. I can take this. You got to save the bishop. Then this pawn falls. Take this. I take. I'm 3 pawns up. I mean, I have a potential pin here, but just trying to encourage folks. I don't mind giving up so much give up draws. I have no ego. Okay, thanks everyone for watching, and take care. Bye now.